Hey book nerds, welcome back. Today I am going to be doing something I haven't done in a while, and that is a book tag. So I saw this tag floating around and it looked like a lot of fun, so I wanted to give it a shot even though I can't answer all of the questions 100%. I wanted to do it because it sounded like a lot of fun, and that is the Totally Should've book tag. And this was created by Emma Books, which I will leave in the description below for you to check out. And here are my books that totally should've. Question number 1. Totally should have gotten a sequel. I think this book could have benefited from a sequel. It would have enhanced the story a lot more, and it would have been a little more drawn out and a little bit more developed, and that is Rook by Shannon Cameron. I felt like the story was really rushed. It wrapped up really conveniently. The characters weren't really fleshed out as well as they could have been, so I think this one would have done better with a sequel, to be honest, because it had great potential but kind of just fell on the mediocre line. So I think it would have benefited from a little bit more of a drawn out story. Question number 2, totally should have had a spin-off series. And I think, and this is going to sound a little weird, but I think the Hunger Games totally could have done a spin-off series. I would have liked to seen Haymitch's games and Haymitch's story and maybe more background there, or even the kind of the background of what happened in District 13 and a perspective from that district. I think that would have done well in a spin-off, and that's my personal opinion. I don't know, it was hard for me to choose what I would have wanted to see more of, and I actually would have wanted to see more of this world of Panem that Suzanne Collins created. So I think a spin-off series or even like a history of Panem or something would have been really cool to add to this awesome series. And that sort of brings me into question number 3, which author totally should write more books? And then again, that is Suzanne Collins. She wrote The Hunger Games. I haven't seen or heard anything from her since the movies have finished or the books have finished. I haven't seen anything else she's written. I know she wrote some children's stories, but I would really like to see more young adult books from Suzanne Collins. She is a fantastic writer, and she has this great way of just endearing you to these characters and capturing you with these characters. So I would love to see more from Suzanne Collins. I would also love to see more books by Kirsten McGhee, the author of the Anomaly trilogy. She also has a companion contemporary trilogy as well, but I would just really like to see more books from her. She is a fantastic story writer, and I really like the way how she comes full circle in her stories, and she just kind of completes the story while taking you in different angles but completely wrapping them up really well at the same time. So I would love to see more from both of these authors, Suzanne Collins and Kirsten McGhee. Question number 4 is a character who totally should have ended up with somebody else, and I have 2 for this. So Cassia from the Match trilogy totally should have ended up with somebody else. I absolutely hated the guy she was with. My second choice is actually my favorite dystopian, and that is the Anomaly trilogy. As much as I still liked the guy she ended up with, I wanted her to end up with the other guy even more so. But sadly, that didn't happen. Really tragically, that didn't happen. Question number 5 is which book totally should have ended differently? And for this, I chose Salas by Rochelle Mead. This one could have been a little bit longer just to kind of enhance that fantasy aspect of it, and just it ended so weird because you were lacking fantasy throughout the rest of the book, and then the fantasy element kind of took over the ending of the book. So I think it should have ended a little bit differently or have been a little bit longer just to implement that fantasy element a little bit better. Question number 6 is which book totally should have had a movie franchise? And this one's going to be a little bit of a weird answer, but I chose The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, aka The Chronicles of Narnia. And you're probably thinking, but these already have movie franchises. Yes, correct, they do. I have grown up with the cartoon animated version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I am not going to talk about the BBC black and white versions of The Chronicles of Narnia. We're just gonna leave those alone. completely. Now, Walt Disney did a live-action adaptation for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I actually really enjoyed that first movie. When we got to Prince Caspian, I was really excited that we were finally taking these books and giving them the awesomeness and the epicness that they deserve to be made into movies. But Disney completely flopped on Prince Caspian. I hadn't read the books before I watched the movie, but there was something that bothered me about the movie. So when I listened to the audiobook and read the books of Prince Caspian, I was even more disappointed of how far away and terrible they were from the actual book. Now, I didn't mind Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I liked it a little bit more than Prince Caspian. That one was a total flop. But after reading the books and loving the books, Voyage of the Dawn Treader could have done so much more, and they also strayed again from the titles of the books. Now, Douglas Gresham, who is the stepson of C.S. Lewis, is working very closely in any of the adaptations of the movies, so I know he's trying to give them the respect that they are due, but I just cannot wait to see if they do come out with a strong and good movie adaptation franchise that the books fans can be excited for. I'm not asking for verbatim books. I will be okay with adaptations like what Peter Jackson did with The Lord of the Rings, but I want them better done than what they just did to Caspian and The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Question number 7, totally should have had a TV franchise. And for this, I chose something I haven't seen picked before, and that is the Inkworld trilogy by Cornelia Funk. This would be an amazing adaptation for a TV series. Now, of course, there was a movie done featuring Brendan Fraser and Paul Bettany as Mo and Dustfinger, respectively. But after reading the book, I watched the movie before I read the book, but now after reading the book, I find that it is lacking. It cuts off totally from any sequels being made, and it's just missing a part of this beautiful trilogy, especially the actual world. I haven't finished the trilogy yet, but after reading Inkspell, I think that this world needs to be given a little bit more to draw it out. So I think it would actually be a fantastic TV series. Question number 8, which book totally should have had one point of view? And for the risk of sounding repetitive, I'm going to say Matched again. I just did not care what Kai or Xander thought. Like, Xander a little bit more than Kai, but I hated Kai. Like, let's just be real here. I was totally finished and completely done with Kai. Just done. Didn't want to, don't care, I don't want you anymore, go away. I just did not like Kai whatsoever, so totally should have just had one point of view there. So for question 9 and question 10, these are both totally should have had a cover change and totally should have kept the original covers. I didn't actually have any specific books for these because a lot of the cover changes I'm looking at are books I haven't even read yet, or books I'm not going to read that I've seen on BookTube that people have had with cover changes. And I've seen some ugly covers. A lot of them have to do with like people's faces on it. Like, some of those covers are just ugly. So I've seen a couple of those that could totally use cover changes, and I would totally like list them all, but I'm not even intending on reading them. But there's also some other ones that totally should have kept their original covers, and I just hate that, especially when there's like a cover change mid-series. So when like the 3rd book comes out and it's a completely different cover and doesn't even look anything like the books, that's what's frustrating. I can't stand that. So that's kind of a pet peeve. So I don't have any specific books to that, just things that I prefer when I'm looking for books, when I'm shopping for books. For question 11, totally should have stopped with one book, and for that, again, being repetitive, I chose the Match trilogy by Ellie Condie. This totally would have been a fantastic standalone if it would have been a standalone. It was a terrible trilogy. I just ended up hating all the rest of the characters and how it ended, and just everybody got on my nerves and I hated it. I wasn't tagged by anybody, but I do want to tag some people, and I'm going to tag some people I don't normally always tag. So I'm going to tag Trina at Between Chapters and Diana from Novel Tea, and I'm also going to be tagging Casey from A Basket Casey Reads, even though I always tag Casey, but I'm going to tag Casey again. So you ladies are tagged to do the totally should have book tag, and anyone else who wants to do this tag, go right ahead. It is a really fun tag to do. And as always, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.